Hey everybody, what's going on? And welcome to Guns N' Roses Central. And we got a ton of Guns N' Roses news to talk about today. But before we get started, I'm gonna let you guys know I've got a poll up on my Twitter page asking you which song you want to see featured on the next episode of Guns N' Roses True Story. So we got 4 songs right now. Right now, the song that's leading the poll is "Don't Damn Me." We've also got Rolling Stones cover "Sympathy for the Devil." We've also got "Bad Apples," and then we've also got "Garden of Eden." So go over to my Twitter page, hit the follow button if you haven't followed me already. I'm coming pretty close up to 1,000 followers, and vote on which song you want to see next. And we've got about 4 days left in the poll. So without further ado, guys, let's go on to our Guns N' Roses news. So we've got some news I think surprised a lot of people, including myself. So according to RTE, Guns N' Roses' Slane tribute to Chris Cornell was #1 on Facebook Live's video chart. So as you guys know, Guns N' Roses have been playing Black Hole Sun for pretty much every show that they've played so far in Europe, and it looks like their performance they did at their first show, their European tour in Slane Castle in Ireland, has taken the #1 spot on the U.S. music publication Billboard's Facebook Live video chart for May. So the band posted a 2.5-minute long cover of the song with the caption, "This one's for you, Chris." And according to media analytics company Cheryl B, the video received 162,000 reactions and was also watched 3.3 million times and shared almost 40,000 times in the first 7 days. So both Seattle natives Duff McKagan and Chris Cornell actually performed together with the Seattle Symphony Orchestra in 2015 as part of the rejigged lineup of the supergroup Mad Season. And following the tribute to Chris Cornell's Slane, Irish fans took to Twitter describing the rendition of Black Hole Sun as awesome and special. And despite the heavy rainfall that happened during the day of the concert, over 80,000 fans traveled to Slane to witness Guns N' Roses return to the legendary venue. The last time they played Slane was back in 1992. Turning now to our next Guns N' Roses news story. So it looks like Guns N' Roses have made Forbes' magazine Celebrity 100 list for the first time. So the Celebrity 100 list of the world's top earning entertainers has made Guns N' Roses land on number 12 with earnings of $84 million in the past 12 months before taxes and fees for managers. So the Guns N' Roses Not in This Lifetime tours grossed more than $230 million since launching in April 2016, according to Billboard. That figure includes a $38 million haul from 8 concerts in Australia and New Zealand, but does not account for earnings from 7 Asian markets that the band visited during the first quarter of 2017. One of the stops on the Australian trek was a 2-night performance in Sydney. That was the 4th biggest of the entire tour, pulling in almost $9.2 million with a total of almost 85,000 tickets sold. The top earner on the tour remains a 2-night stop in New York City, where almost 100,000 fans forked over $11.6 million. And of course, last summer's North American leg featured 25 stadium shows in 21 cities, grossed a whopping $117 million with over 1 million tickets sold. Turning now to our next news, as you guys know, Guns N' Roses played 2 shows in London this past weekend, and if you were fortunate enough to go or live there, there was actually a Guns N' Roses pop-up shop at the John Varvatos store. So from Thursday to Sunday of this past week, there was a bunch of merchandise you could buy. This isn't the first time Guns N' Roses have done this. They actually did this when they were playing New York City last summer, and I think the first 50 people who showed up to the store got a free t-shirt. Now, I love John Varvatos' stuff. Of course, it's way overpriced and expensive, and I did see that some of the clothing, I think some of it started at like £40 or something. So, I mean, it's not the cheapest store to go buy this kind of memorabilia from. You can probably find stuff a lot cheaper on rockabilia.com if you guys are looking for Guns N' Roses memorabilia, and they probably have a wider selection. And let's talk a bit about the shows in London. So Guns plays 2 shows back-to-back this past weekend. The first night, Axl donned a Union Jack jacket and cap. And during the second night, they actually dedicated Heaven's Door to the victims of the recent terrorist attack in London, as well as the fire that happened at Grenfell Tower that, at least at this point, seems like it's killed 58 people, which is just terrible news. And then the reviews have been coming in for their London shows. Most of the reviews have been good. A lot of you guys who left me comments all had positive reviews. There's this one review I saw from the artdesk.com. They said the Guns N' Roses London Stadium review, venue almost ruins the night of glory. So they were talking about how the acoustics in the venue, especially if you were at the back, were not very good. They said, during the opening songs like, It's So Easy and Mr. Brownstone, It just said that it just sounded really muddy into the actual back of the venue. They said the culprit seemed to be the phasing of the central and rear speakers, meaning the music and images on the big screen were often barely in the same time zone. But they did say that basically the concert was really good, and they said the rest of the set equally thrilling. Heaven's Door, Night Train, Patience, and Chris Cornell tribute all succeeded in evoking the band's past glory days. It was only when the speakers were turned up for the Paradise City that the awful echo returned that we were reminded of during the limitations of ANZ Stadium, and there's plenty of time to reflect. It took 50,000 fans well over an hour, funneled in sweltering heat just to get out. So Guns N' Roses have a couple of days off. They're heading now to Poland for their next show. Let's go into our next news story. So we've got this news story from credible source Alternative Nation. They have a story about Guns N' Roses member reacts to wild story about Slash dying for 8 minutes. So of course one of the wildest stories we know about Guns N' Roses, if you guys watched the documentary on VH1 or read Slash's book, or read Watch You Bleed, the saga of Guns N' Roses, that Slash apparently died for 8 minutes. So tour manager John Reese woke up to a ringing sound. He said, "I got a phone call at 5:30 or 6 a.m. Mr. Reese, one of your band members has passed out in the elevators on the 5th floor. I threw on some pants, ran out of my room, and Slash is dead. He's blue dead. He's no pulse at all." Right away, the elevator door opened, and the paramedics stepped out. One of them listened to Slash's chest and heard nothing. Bam! They hit him with adrenaline right to his heart. Slash remembered, "I was told my heart stopped for 8 minutes. I don't know who called 911. My bodyguard Ronnie was there, and so was Axl's guy Earl. And they took care of me and got the paramedics. I woke up when the defibrillators stunned my heart into beating again." And Guns N' Roses guitarist Richard Fortus was asked if he ever heard the story in a new Stage Left podcast interview. He said, "Did Slash really die for 8 minutes? Is that possible? I thought 5 minutes was the max without brain damage." He also said, "I've never discussed it with him." Fortus also said he hasn't seen any wild rock and roll behavior with Guns N' Roses in any worse than the previous experiences, and he had nothing but praise for Slash. If you guys want to listen to the whole interview with Richard Fortus, I've linked to it down below. Let's go on to our next news story. So Slash actually returned home for a short period of time, I guess during this leg of the Europe tour. It was his son's graduation, and there was an Instagram video posted on social media. I can only imagine how exhausting that must be at age 52 to have to go, or age 51 to go back home and then go back to Europe and then, start playing shows again. I remember like 5 years ago, I went to Germany for like 3 days and then came back home after that, and that was exhausting, and I was like 25 at that time. And we've also got some stories coming out of the Slane Castle show that Guns did last May. So apparently Slane Castle is now on its way to becoming world famous for both rock and roll and whiskey, as owner Henry Mount Charles and his son are actually going to be opening their 45 million euro distillery to the public in August. So they said, "We got a request for 3 bottles from Guns N' Roses, which I presented to the band on Friday when they were rehearsing there," Alex says. "I met Duff, Axl, and Slash and had a nice chat with them about rock and roll and whiskey and their gig 25 years previously. Rock and roll has made Slane one of the best-known little villages in Ireland, and that's why they've named it Slane Whiskey. They said our whiskey is black, slightly edgy bottle, which is our nod to rock and roll heritage. And U.S. distillers Brown-Forman, the company behind Jack Daniels, has invested $50 million in Slane Castle Irish Whiskey as a long-term partnership with the family." And Henry Mount Charles, who's battling lung cancer, missed his first Slane gig since 1981, the day that Guns N' Roses were actually playing on May 27th. They said, "Dad was in touch with me and other members of the family during the day, and we were able to send him some pictures and video clips, and we kept him in the loop, but obviously he was gutted that he could not be there because he started it all, and it was his first one he ever missed. It was lovely that Guns N' Roses gave him a shout out on the day." Alex also added that Guns N' Roses were totally professional in their preparation for the big Slane show. They put serious effort into rehearsals on Friday, and it translated onto a great gig on Saturday. And Guns N' Roses really pulled it out of the bag. They went on time, and it was a long set. And earlier in the week, Guns N' Roses performed a cover of AC/DC's Whole Lotta Rosie as a tribute to Axl Rose's deceased dog. So Guns N' Roses were playing in Zurich, Switzerland, and prior to launching in the song, Axl told the crowd, "When we play the song, nobody really knows that when I'm singing the song, I actually in my head, I see this little dog of ours with me on stage because she's always so effing happy. Before we came to the show today, she passed away, so we'll dedicate this to her. Kind of the whole show for me in my mind has been for Rosie." And then we've got some random fan photos with Axl as well as Duff. I've seen a couple with Slash as well. And then we also have Slash and his girlfriend taken in a museum, I think when they were in Munich, Germany as well. And then we've also got some news footage from Munich, Germany of their gig from this past weekend. There's a little bit of pro shot footage, not a whole lot. And then this was something cool that a subscriber of mine sent me. So I want to thank Kenny for sending me this. So if you guys remember back in 2006, Axl bit a security guard in Sweden. And I guess he was at a Swedish hotel and nightclub called Burns. So basically, they're giving away Axel's shoes on Instagram, and they posted this. They basically said, "Hey Axel, we have your shoes. Come and pick them up at Burns, or we'll pass them on to someone else." So apparently, this is what Axel was wearing back in, I guess, '06 when he was touring Sweden. So that does it for today's video, guys. Hopefully that recaps the news for the past week. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you guys had a good week. If you guys went to the London shows, I hope you guys enjoyed them. Hit the like button if you enjoyed the contents of this video, and be sure to hit the subscribe button if you love Guns N' Roses as much as I do. Also, go check out my new True Story episode. I did one on You Ain't the First from Use Your Illusion 1. Thanks for watching, guys, and follow me on social media. The links to my Facebook and Twitter are down below. Take care.